I have evidence that Valve Steam is ripping every PC gamer off, and I have evidence that this is the case whether you get your games from Steam or from any other store for PC games. I've alluded to this in the part 1 of my investigation into Steam, where I lay out all the different issues I have with Valve, including the fact that you don't own your Steam games, that internet authentication is perpetually required, or that Valve is charging insanely high cuts from all Steam sales. But there was one thing a lot of Valve loyalists had a problem with, and that was when I said that Valve is forcing publishers to price their games and offer the same content on Steam as on other stores, which is an obnoxiously anti-competitive behavior where Valve wants to prevent publishers from selling their games for cheaper on other stores than on Steam. And many jumped to Valve's defense saying that this price parity requirement is only regarding Steam keys. And to me, that speaks volume about how much these people care about the truth. Because I, very conveniently, cited all the sources that support this claim that Valve is enforcing price and content parity across all gaming stores, and that it's not just about the Steam keys. But because this lie is continuously being perpetuated by Valve and its cultists, I've spent the last few weeks reading through literally hundreds of pages of court documents presenting evidence for Valve's anti-competitive behavior. Yes, I've actually read and analyzed hundreds of pages of complaints, exhibits, and legal answers. Yes, I did it because I hate myself. Because YouTube will make sure that this video will peak at 20k views and virtually none of my subscribers will know about it. But I care about the truth and I'm proud of the research I'm doing. And I dare you to find anyone on this platform that does more and better research into their videos than I do. And I still haven't taken a single sponsor. The only reason I'm able to do this is no thanks to YouTube's abysmal treatment of my channel. It is because I'm literally subsidized by my Patreon supporters on patreon.com/thehatedone. So if you appreciate this sheer amount of work that I'm doing, help me continue it. I'm also doing my podcast there. You won't regret it. Now let's get to the root of the problem. If you're looking for a PC game to buy, you have several options. The obvious choice is gonna be Steam, because this is the biggest library and the largest network of players on the planet. But you can also buy games from the Epic Games Store, GameStop, or Microsoft Store. And there are also third-party retailers that are reselling Steam keys. Your choices may not be plenty, but you have options. So let's say you want to buy Horizon Forbidden West Complete Edition. A fantastic game, by the way. It's $59.99 on Steam. That's pretty hefty, right? So let's see Epic, it's $59.99 there too. GameStop, $59.99 again. Weird, huh? Must be a coincidence. Let's see Red Dead Redemption 2 then. Oh, it's $59.99 again on Steam, on Epic, and GameStop. Okay, Control, this is a niche game, it's super awesome, I love playing that. That must be cheaper, right? Aha, it's $29.99 on Steam. Gotcha, Epic. Oh wait, it's $29.99 on Epic too? Well, look at this. These aren't some random outliers. This is a pattern. Prices of games that are listed on Steam will virtually always be the same across all independent stores, or they'll be the cheapest on Steam. Multiple legal complaints against Valve are laying out several examples with regards to Epic Games Store. But that's weird for two reasons. One, Epic has nothing to do with Steam. It's a completely independent store. They are not reselling Steam keys. And second, Epic's commission is only 12%, while Valve's commission is 30%. So why aren't publishers lowering their prices on Epic? For a $30 game sold on Steam, they could charge $25 on Epic and still earn the same profit. Wouldn't you, as a gamer, want to save $5? I would. Now, there are two possible explanations for this. I'll let you choose which one you want to trust. One is that publishers are too greedy and would rather pocket the savings now than lure customers into a cheaper store. Or the second option is there is something that prevents them from pricing their games differently when they're also selling them on Steam. Now, I know that publishers are not saints. I know they would want to earn as much as possible too, but I'm very much interested in the second explanation, because if you ask Valve, they would always deny there is any price parity requirement outside of Steam keys. They always say there is no evidence for this and they call it a fantasy. a fantasy. And for a long time, there really was no evidence beyond correlation and circumstance. But now we have evidence. We have files on top of files of evidence. We have emails and private communication between Valve and publishers and developers. And we now have evidence that Valve enforced price and content parity as unwritten rules with mafia-like tactics. And I'm going to show you all of that evidence. But one thing must be explained first. There are two ways to buy a Steam game. One is directly through the Steam client, where Valve takes a 30% cut of all sales by default except for the largest studios. And the second method is via Steam keys, which developers can request from Valve for free, so no 30% tax there, and they can sell these keys on third-party stores. For you as a gamer, even if you buy a Steam key from a third party, you still have to authenticate your game via Steam. But this almost doesn't make any sense. Why would Valve willingly give publishers the ability to bypass their own 30% commission? Because Valve is smart about this. They limit how many Steam keys devs can request this way. It's not meant to be a replacement for the Steam client sale. You still have to have the Steam page. Valve also requires that Steam keys are sold at the same price for the same content as they are sold on the Steam client. Discounts can run at different stores at different times, but Steam must get the same deal sooner rather than later. This is where Steam requires price parity and content parity across stores. There is nothing anywhere in any official Steam documentation that would say non-Steam games also have to be priced the same way as Steam listings. It only talks about Steam keys. So whenever Valve is accused of enforcing price parity, loyal cultists throw their bodies at Valve's defense, pointing that it is just about Steam keys that Valve generously and out of the goodness of their heart gives out entirely for free. But now, I'm gonna give you plenty of ammunition to fire back at these liars, because this has to stop. Valve is now facing multiple antitrust lawsuits. The most prolific ones are Wolfire v. Valve and Elliott v. Valve. In the Wolfire lawsuit, Valve managed to convince the judge to dismiss the complaint for lack of evidence. But Wolfire filed again with a new complaint and provided email communication between Valve employees and third-party publishers and developers as evidence of Valve's tactics. And I'm gonna enjoy this part very much. It's gonna be super juicy. In one of these emails, a Valve employee wrote to a publisher, "We wouldn't be okay with selling games on Steam if they're available at better prices on other stores, even if they do not use Steam keys. If you wanted to sell a non-Steam version of your game for $10 at retail and $20 on Steam, we'd ask to get that same lower price or just stop selling the game on Steam if we couldn't treat our customers fairly." And don't get thrown off by that treating our customers fairly, because Valve says that the employee who said this, Tom Giordino, has regretted this exchange as a poor choice of words that does not reflect what they do on Steam. So we can take this as admission that it is wrong to threaten developers when they price non-Steam games cheaper than Steam versions, right? We can do that now? Okay. It's interesting because this selection of words happens to occur quite frequently among Valve employees. At another instance, Tom G is seen describing Valve's pricing parity requirement as a platform goal that goes beyond Steam keys. Another employee also once wrote, "We ask that digital content you offer outside of Steam be made available to Steam users directly so that the Steam version is not disadvantaged." Now this is called content parity. Now in another instance, when a publisher asked Valve if they could leave their Steam game out of a planned discount, Valve responded, "We don't want to be known as the store where redacted prices are unfair. We've pursued this same policy with other partners and in other regions to make sure Steam customers aren't at an unfair disadvantage to customers shopping at retail or online at other stores." And what happens if publishers do not comply? Well, we have to take Valve at their word for it, right? Valve says, "We've always asked that our partners treat our customers fairly, and we've often opted not to promote games or stop selling them altogether if we aren't able to get fair treatment for our users." In another instance, if publisher X wants to sell a game at 80% off on Redacted and 50% off on Steam, we can't stop them. But we are not going to promote it until the Steam players get 80% too. And another one, we've made the choice to take the game down until we reach price parity. Oh, but I thought you said price parity was a fantasy. And yet, in another exchange, Yesterday, it came to our attention that Redacted was also on sale on Redacted with a significantly better discount, so we removed it from the pirate sale page. Later in the chain, Redacted added its central marketing teams and assured Valve that, to be clear, we know discount parity is essential on both stores. The Wolfire site provided all this evidence in Exhibit 85, which lists emails between Valve and developers dating all the way back to 2007 until 2022. And all of these are about content or price parity for Steam keys and non-Steam versions of the games. It also contains a response to Valve's response to the plaintiff's response to Valve's response to plaintiff's complaint. There is also additional documentation from the lawsuit Elliott v. Valve, where Valve is shown to explain to a publisher, we basically see any selling of the game on PC, Steam key or not, as part of the same shared PC market. So even if you weren't using Steam keys, we choose to stop selling a game if it was always running discounts 75% off on one store but 50% off on ours. This lawsuit is focused on the aspect that Valve is abusing its market power to force publishers to price their games equally, specifically even when they're not connected to Steam in any way. Unlike the Wolfire lawsuit, Elliott v. Valve is coming from the gamer's perspective only, so publishers' interest is left out. To me, this is very important because publishing companies are not saints either. It's the gamers who are suffering from the monopolistic conduct the most. In this lawsuit, Tom G is quoted multiple times requesting that publishers offer the same content, DLC, or in-game, whether it's using Steam keys or not, and that publishers must abide by the rules even if they are not specifically written. Tom G couldn't have said this any more explicitly when he said, a completely standalone version would have to be the same price as the Steam version. Curb your enthusiasm, roll credits, this is the end. Hello darkness, my old friend. If you are still watching, congratulations. You have integrity, because the most important part of this video is yet to come. How does any of this lead to higher prices for games across the board? There are several reasons for this. One of the biggest is that Steam's commission is the highest in the industry. Valve takes a flat 30% cut of every sale on Steam, with the only exception for the largest studios making up to $50 million in sales or more. On Epic Games and Microsoft, their commission is only 12%. Apple and Google take 15% for the first million in annual revenue. Discord once ran a store at only 10%. But all of these competitive offers are completely nullified by Steam's conduct. Every publisher will have to set higher prices on Steam to offset Valve's high commission, and then they wouldn't be able to keep their Steam listing if they lowered their prices elsewhere. Steam keys are completely out of the question here. Yes, Valve offers them for free, but games sold via Steam keys must be explicitly sold at the same price and content as games sold directly on Steam. So there is no room to make cheaper deals for gamers there. Steam key sales only account for about 28% of total Steam sales, and in-game purchases are still taxed 30%. Another reason for higher prices is that developers can almost never avoid Steam. Steam controls about 3/4 of the global PC gaming market. This is an insane level of control. Any developer wishing to get to the broader PC gaming market must do business with Valve and thus pay the 30% commission. They could go to Microsoft and Epic or other stores and sell exclusively there and offer a lower price for only 12% commission, but then they would lose out on the overwhelming majority of the PC gaming market. The sheer size of Steam is unavoidable. Even large multi-billion-dollar studios like Ubisoft, Microsoft, or Sony come back to Steam even when they can easily afford to run their own stores. Valve didn't make a better store, they just got lucky. They originally made the Steam client to publish their own games all the way back in 2004. Valve had some of the most popular games in the world, and by forcing Steam on the millions of gamers, they managed to capture a vast portion of the entire PC gaming market, a market that was still in its infancy. They got lucky, and now they reap the rewards. And now you have to pay more than you should and could if Valve's conduct was prohibited. Now the final question is Valve's 30% commission justifiable? I know Valve's loyalists love to defend them on this one, and I would love nothing more than to tear them a new hole to shit through. Do you want me to do that? Let me know in the comments and subscribe to my Patreon to find out. And please validate my life's choice to burn hundreds of hours reading documents that no one else does just so that I can tell you the truth for free.